Hello and welcome. My name is Nadia Fabry. I specialise in employment law and dispute resolution at Jepp Solicitors. So today I'm going to do a short talk about settlement agreements and delve into the intricacies of them. Obviously, they're critical and often misunderstood aspects of employment law. So today the aim is to decipher some of these documents and provide you with the knowledge to hopefully navigate them more confidently. That could be whether you're considering an agreement or just simply want to understand your options. Hopefully, this presentation will provide you with some comprehensive insights and practical advice. So, first question, what exactly are settlement agreements? So, settlement agreements are legal documents which are often used to end employment relationships, normally under mutually agreed terms. These documents, when you see them, can look very complex, but are tailored to individual circumstances, which can serve multiple purposes. They can provide closure, prevent potential litigation, and offer compensation for waiving certain legal claims that an employee may have against an employer. But crucially, they must be voluntary and they are contingent upon the employee receiving independent legal advice. So today I'm going to break down the components, discuss the significance, and outline why they require such careful consideration. So why would an employer propose a settlement agreement? So normally settlements agreements are presented by the employers as a straightforward solution during times of perhaps organisational change. This could be redundancies or dismissals. So for the employers, these agreements are strategic tools which are often designed to manage risks and ensure that there's a smooth transition. Normally, the aim is to prevent any potential disputes from arising in the future, which then obviously saves the company from lengthy and potential costly litigation and ending up in employment tribunals. From an employee's perspective, if you've received a settlement agreement, understanding why your employer is proposing a settlement agreement is often the crucial element to consider, often for several reasons. So it offers insights into the employer's concerns and potential weaknesses. So, for instance, if a settlement agreement is offered during a redundancy process, it might indicate that the employer's urgency to reduce the potential backlash or legal challenges that could arise from how the redundancies are being handled. Often with redundancies, they need to go through certain procedures, lots of meetings, and it can be stressful on all parties involved. So knowing the employer's motivations can be a powerful tool in negotiations if it's needed. So if the agreement is being offered to mitigate the risks of perhaps a discrimination claim, for instance, this knowledge can provide leverage. An employee in the position might be able to negotiate a higher compensation amount or better terms, particularly if there's grounds to believe that the treatment could constitute a breach of employment law. So while the settlement agreement offers immediate benefits, such as a lump sum payment and possibly a smoother exit from the company, it does mean that you will be waiving certain legal rights you may have. So, for example, these rights could include pursuing claims for unfair dismissal, discrimination, or unpaid wages, just to name a few. So understanding these trade-offs are essential, as it will affect your ability to seek damages for any wrongful actions by the employer in the future. So our role as the legal advisors is to ensure that the trade-off is fair and justified. So if you came to us with your settlement agreement, we would assess whether the compensation offered appropriately reflects the rights being waived. So this includes a detailed analysis of any potential claims that you might have against your employer. So if you're being let go in a redundancy or dismissal, that may not have been conducted fairly or legally. You could potentially challenge this in an employment tribunal. Another example is if there's elements of discrimination related to age, sex, race, disability, or any other protected category. These can often be forms basis of claim that needs to be carefully weighed against the terms offered in the settlement. Again, if the employer has failed to adhere to the contractual terms of your employment, claims related to this breach should be considered. So by thoroughly understanding these elements, you can negotiate from a position of strength. Our approach involves not assessing just the financial compensation, but also ensuring that any non-compete clauses or confidentiality requirements do not unduly restrict your future employment opportunities or personal freedom. So, moving on to the most important, why is it important to get legal advice? So independent legal advice is the cornerstone of a valid settlement agreement. This is mandated by law because the decisions you make now can significantly impact your future. So it's really important that you get the right advice and you understand what it is that you are signing. So the reason it's required is that the first step is to verify the agreement adheres to all the legal standards. So this safeguard prevents any future complications arising from unlawful or unfair terms within the agreement. So we would carefully consider and examine the compensation offered to ensure it's fair and genuine for your time that you've been with the company, the role that you had, and contributions you've obviously made to that company. It's important that this sum genuinely reflects your value and the circumstances of your departure. One of the most significant elements of a settlement agreement involves waiving certain legal claims that you may have against your employer. So we would help you understand precisely what rights you are giving up and discuss whether the trade-offs in the agreement, so like financial compensation, are truly in your best interest. Settlement agreements often include clauses that can restrict your future employment opportunities, such as a non-compete and confidentiality clause. So we will carefully consider these, scrutinise them, and make sure that they're reasonable and won't unduly hinder your future career prospects. We'll also comb through any additional terms regarding ongoing obligations or benefits and ensuring that you have a complete understanding of what you're agreeing to. So hopefully our aim is to simplify the terms of the settlement agreement for you, translating all the legal jargon into straightforward language, and then that will hopefully make you make an informed decision that supports you with your immediate needs and long-term goals. So the hope is that we're here to ensure that your rights are protected and the agreement you enter into is favourable as possible under the circumstances. So, key components of the settlement agreement. So when you're presented with a settlement agreement, the terms might initially seem very overwhelming. It's crucial to understand what each component means for you in your current situation and the future. So let's have a look at some of them. So compensation. This isn't just about your final paycheck. Compensation in a settlement agreement might include several elements. So you could have severance pay, which is often a lump sum offered as part of your departure. The amount can vary widely, usually depending on factors like your length of service, seniority, and the norms within your company and industry. Bonuses. If you're entitled to performance-related pay, it's important to ensure that any accrued bonuses are calculated and included. So with most jobs now, there are often other benefits, so that could include holiday pay, health insurance, or other entitlements accrued during your employment. In some cases, continuation of life insurance and other perks might be negotiated in the package. Waiver of claims. So it's critical selection that where you agree not to pursue legal action against your employer for potential claims, such claims could include unfair dismissal. So if you feel that you were let go without just cause or due process. But again, you must remember it's important that you have that 2-year period of employment. Discrimination, claims related to unfair treatment based on age, gender, race, disability, or other protected characteristics. Again, these claims can often be made without that 2-year period, but we would advise you accordingly. Wage and hour claims. So this often covers unpaid overtime or other wage discrepancies. Confidentiality. These clauses typically restrict your ability to discuss the terms of the agreement and the conditions surrounding your departure. So that might include non-disclosure, whereby you'd be required to keep the details of the settlement and the settlement amount and circumstances that led to it confidential. Public statements. Sometimes these clauses also control what you can say publicly about the company, your experience there, and reasons for your departure. Restrictive covenants. These are designed to limit your professional movements post-departure. So they could include non-compete clauses. So these prevent you from working in similar employment within a certain geographic area and for a certain period of time, potentially hindering your next career move. Non-solicit clauses. This restricts you from soliciting clients, customers, or even co-workers of your former employer. So again, by thoroughly understanding each term and its implications, you can make sure you've made an informed decision that not only meet your immediate needs, but also support your long-term career objectives. So when you come to us, it could be that we need to negotiate the terms of your agreement. So sometimes the art of negotiation is key. So negotiation is more than just settling on a number. It's about strategically advocating for terms that respect your contributions and future career prospects. So hopefully we will assess the fairness of the offer, consider the industry standards of your role and your personal circumstances. We then aim to negotiate not only for an equitable financial settlement, but also for terms that support your career transition. So, most importantly, why would you come to CHEP Solicitors? So, our approach is handling the settlement agreement is rooted and blended on high legal expertise and intricate understanding of the nuances and human resources. This dual focus allows us to provide advice and representations that's not only legally rigorous, but also deeply aware of the human aspects of employment disputes. So we have a talented team of legal experts who really know their stuff about employment law. But what makes us different? Well, I'd like to think that we explain everything in a way that just makes sense, not legal jargon, just clear, simple advice. So whether it's figuring out your severance pay or understanding what you can and can't do after you leave your job, hopefully we've got that covered and make you understand it. So we're proud of how many people we've helped through tricky employment situations. Most of our clients have come out with settlement agreements which have been much better deals than they expected. And that's thanks to a good knack of negotiation and understanding the circumstances that you're in. So we understand it's very stressful going through a settlement agreement. It's a point that most often you don't see coming and don't want to be going through. So we aim to be more than just your lawyer. We're part of the process with you. We understand and we want to support you. So we'll make sure we guide you through every step, make sure you're comfortable and confident with the process and everything makes sense. And obviously the most important question is worried about the legal fees. Well, often you don't need to be. It's very common for all settlement agreements to include a contribution towards your legal costs from your employer. So this means that getting the legal advice you need might not cost you as much as you think, and sometimes if nothing at all. But we'll help make sure that your contribution from your employer is fair and it covers as much as possible. So obviously you can then focus on what matters the most, which is moving forward. So if you're looking for a legal team that's all about clear advice, strong support and getting the best results for people, then obviously please contact us. We'd be more than happy to help and support. So obviously that is the end of the agreement to my discussion today. I hope it's been insightful for you and it's given some helpful hints and tips. But obviously we're here to talk through it more with you. Contact details are here on the page and please feel free to reach out. Thank you very much for listening. Bye.